TV Guide.
Talk Radio. It's our Wednesday edition of OTH. We come to you here on KDSJ from 1 to 2 p.m. And real quick, let's get our sponsors. Show them a little love. Let's give a shout out to Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall here in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. And lastly, did you go there? Because I went there yesterday myself. KDK's Chicken. It's at 989 Razorback Road. Get out there and see Keith, Kathy. Get some of that love. I'm telling you, go get some of that love. Like they say on the building, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles and whatever else you want to eat down there. Waffle cones, loaded fries, you name it. Keith and Kathy can get it all. And it's all made fresh right there on the spot. That's what makes them so great. So go catch it. But I want to come in with my producer extraordinaire, tech guy as well, Demetrius, holler at me, my man.
What's good?
A lot's going on in the sports world. We came out as we had media availability today with Coach Dave Van Horn, Cole Austin, also to Patrick Wicklander, made their availability to us. And then Demetrius went from there all the way over. Well, it's not that far, I say all the way over, but just a couple of flips down the street and did a press conference with head women's basketball coach Mike Neighbors of his top 25 program as they're gearing up to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville Thursday night, SEC Network, all those things. But I really want to get back to my guy and today's topic. Give us a topic for today. What is our viewer question of the day that we want them to chime in with?
I think we gotta give it to the basketball team right now. I think, just with it being so close to March Madness, getting ready to come up. Will Arkansas make it to the NCAA tournament? I know there's a couple of games left. They got Isaiah Jill back, so I'm just eager to see how they end the season.
Right. Also, too. We posed yesterday to a couple of our listeners that were on, Kevin McPherson and also to Derek Oxford. And our question was, and this is what it'll be. Question of the day. Who is the most important role player for this basketball team for the duration of the regular season, off into the SEC tournament, and possibly if they get enough wins under their belt, the NCAA tournament? So give me two players. The two most important role players, and what we're going to do, we're going to take out Isaiah Joe, we're going to take out Mason Jones, because we already know what we're going to get with those two. Outside of those two, name me two players. They're going to be the most important role guys to finish out this season. And if you had your opinion, what would we're going to get it started. Demetrius, give me your two role players that really have to play very good basketball for Arkansas to even have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. I got my two.
I say Adria Bailey and Jimmy Witt. I'm going to go Jimmy Witt because I just think that third option of when Mason and Isaiah Joe's not having a good game, he's that third outlet.
Right.
And I think anytime you have that kind of trifecta that you're guaranteed, at least a 20-piece from each of those guys. So you're looking at a 60-piece between three guys. I think you have a chance anytime you can put up points. And I think Adria Bailey, he gives them those unaccounted for points. Right. When you look at the score sheet, you don't look and see Adria having 18 or 15 So I think those are points when you look at what Jimmy Witt, Isaiah Joe, and what Mason Jones brings to the table, and then you add in what Adrio Bailey brings in. I think you really have a high percentage of really competing from an offensive standpoint in the tournament.
I believe my two role players, I'm going to go with Desi Seals will be one. And I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say I got to stick with it. And you know who I'm going to say.
Uh,
I'm going to say RC. I'm
yeah.
going to say Reggie Chaney. I still just feel like this guy has so much potential, and so much still yet to give to this basketball team. I think the one thing that Reggie is going to have to understand is to be able to help this team at a high level, you're going to have to stay on the court due to, foul trouble. Reggie's got to fix that problem. He's been a high volume foul guy in his previous, the first 2 years here at Arkansas. So I think that's going to be something that he's really going to have to work on. For the duration of this year and going forward to really, really play up to the potential that I feel like Reggie can get to. He has to stay out of foul trouble. And, he's a guy, Demetrius, that could, he can defend at least up to 4 spots each and every night on the court, which that gives you a lot of versatility. It's just I think he's still in the maturation process he's going through, I think, to a certain degree. But I would have to say Desi Seals and Reggie Chaney would be my two. I mean, I would like to have thrown in Adrio with Mason and Isaiah, but you couldn't do that.
So
I just feel like, if those two were to, step to the forefront, I think it's going to bode well for this basketball team.
So let me pose another question to you. Do you think Reggie Chaney's with this playoffs, or I should say this postseason, is he playing for a position next year? Because there's a lot of young guys that's coming in that really have a high chance of playing when you look at the type of basketball most of them really gearing towards. Do you think Reggie Chaney's really playing for a position next year?
No, I really do. I think he's playing maybe not to be off the team, but I think he's playing because when you add J.D. Notae, Connor Vanover, Moses Moody, Devonta Davis, K.K. Robinson, and Jalen Williams to next year's team, you're talking about adding 6 very diverse and very dynamic basketball players that can score the basketball. I think the biggest addition next year will be J.D. Notae. I'm going to be on record to say he will be the most important addition to this basketball team because JD's one of those guys. He's a typical true point guard, and if you look at Arkansas at this very moment, the one thing that they're very void of is a true point guard that can get everybody around him better. Where you have JD, an experienced guy, then I think you look at the incoming players, KK Robinson, Devo, as 2 more point guards. So I think Reggie is just playing for minutes and possibly could be playing to stay in the roster depending on how in the offseason maybe you get a grad transfer, maybe a Kyrie Walker, who I still think this young man has not made up his mind, has not ruled out going to college. I think that's going to be an option. So I think still a lot's left on the table, but I think, like you said, to answer your question, I think it's going to be how he plays. Yes. So pin me down. Yep, I think he's playing for a spot.
I do too. I just look at the roster, and even when you see guys like Mason Jones that potentially, and I'm not saying that he is, but that potentially could come off the bench now. When you look at these younger guys that's coming onto the team, that's going to be rough. I see a more athletic and younger, and not saying Reggie Chaney's not athletic. He's just, to me, athletically one-dimensional, I should say. And I think when you get these younger guys, especially with the style of basketball, especially when you get longer, because these guys are going to be long and lengthy, so there's going to be a lot of lanes clogged up. I just think on this type of basketball, again, these guys fit it, and I think they can run up and down the court and really show the type of offense. When Musselman, when we sat down and talked to him, he mentioned the Golden State Warriors. That was a former team that he really worked with. I think when you add these younger guys and you add a Mason Jones, depending on how this postseason goes, because I think if the postseason doesn't go as accordingly, I think he stays another year, and Isaiah Joe. But I think if they kind of exceed the expectations and do decide to or do prove to go deep in the NCAA tournament, I think Mason Jones and Isaiah Joe lead. So, it's going to be up and down for Razorback fans of how they want Arkansas to do in the tournament. Because, again, Mason's had an incredible year, and I don't think really he can duplicate it.
It should be up for SEC players.
Exactly, and that's what I mean by I don't really think he can duplicate that from a stat perspective. But again, he's off the court. He says that's not really what he's been after. He wants to win.
Right.
So I can understand that. But again, I think when these younger guys kind of see that money and the opportunity to go to the NBA, it's kind of hard to give it up, especially when you know you have a high chance of getting drafted.
Another question, topic that we'd like to get all our listeners feedback on is tonight's ball game, 7:30 tip-off. Arkansas was beaten rather handily just a little over 2 weeks ago up in Knoxville by the Vols. Only double-digit loss in the conference to date. What will be the big key in tonight's victory that they had that Arkansas is going to have to take care of and make a high priority to win this game at home and continue to build a little bit better resume for the NCAA committee? That's the second question. So chime in, let us know what you think. But we're going to step away, take a quick break. We caught up today, as we said, with the Razorback baseball team. We caught up with first base, Arkansas first baseman Austin Cole to preview their upcoming weekend as they're going to take on three very, very great Power 5 Big 12 schools playing in the Houston Astros ballpark. We'll get that audio here momentarily, Cole Austin, and then we'll come back with a lot of questions. But that's the one thing I also too think, Demetrius, about this basketball team is I think that, and I didn't mention it, but I should have thrown in Jimmy Witt. Jimmy Witt's a guy, but I think Jimmy Witt's game is predicated on having Isaiah and Mason on the floor, because when those two are on the floor, you're talking about the spacing, the court getting a little bit bigger, because you got to go out and double team those guys. Hence, that's where you can get a Jimmy Witt in the paint at the free throw line, the mid-range jumper. Everybody in the SEC raves about his mid-range games, and I think he may have the best mid-range game or one of the top 2 or 3 in all of the SEC. So when you have him out there doing his damage right there in all of his sweet spots, that makes Arkansas a lot more difficult to guard. I really do like it. The 5-guard lineup, I think that's going to be really big going down the stretch for the Razorbacks here toward the end of the season and on into the tournaments. I think what their roster is kind of built for tournament play, in my humble opinion. But we have the audio of Cole Austin, Razorback first baseman. He's going to preview their upcoming series over the weekend. Here's what Austin had to say, or Cole, and then we'll be back with much, much more. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Whenever y'all ready, questions for Cole?
I guess you guys faced OU in the fall. Obviously, that's an exhibition game. A lot of guys are playing, but does that give you a little sense for what you're going to face? And also, their step pitcher pitched an inning that game.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely their dude. I don't think they've announced if he's pitching against us yet, but I think that's who they're going to go with. But yeah, it was definitely good to see. They threw a lot of arms, so it was definitely good to see all their arms throwing. Give us a little preview of what's coming up Friday.
And this is going to be your all's first road game, obviously. I guess it won't be road, it'll be neutral, but you'll be in the state of all those teams you're playing.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think we're just looking forward to get outside Fayetteville, play some outside competition. There's going to be 3 really good teams we're facing. I think we're just excited to see how we do on the road for the first time.
Will you ever play in a lineup that's this potent?
No, not at all. It's funny because we were talking about how we feel like we haven't even been clicking on full cylinders yet. We're still averaging 8 or 9 a game, so we're definitely excited to see how we're gonna do each game when everybody's clicking on full cylinders, everybody's comfortable with the play. But it definitely helps take a lot of pressure off when you got guys like Kerstat and Martin hitting in front of you. You don't feel like as much pressure on you to play.
So, just going and facing 3 Big 12 teams this weekend and the experience you're going to get from that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I definitely think it's going to help as far as the pitching we're going to see. Every guy they're going to throw out there is going to be, I'm assuming mid-90s. So, I definitely think it's going to help us down the road, preparing us for SEC pitching. Just as far as that, those teams we're facing this weekend are going to be SEC caliber, so I definitely think it's going to benefit us for conference play.
You ever gotten to play in a big league park before?
Not big league. I played in the Dodgers AAA, but as far as big league, I think this is the first.
Yeah. How exciting is that for you guys? Because obviously that's where y'all want to be.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be awesome. The playing surface there is going to be the the best we've ever played on. I mean, big league, they take really good care of it. But we're excited. You know, that's what we looked at.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. That was for Arkansas first baseman Cole Alston previewing their upcoming series. I think first game, Texas, Baylor. Those start at Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's the game on Friday night, followed by Texas, Baylor on Sunday. Pitchers for the weekend will be Connor Nolan on Friday, Patrick Wicklander on Saturday, and Cole Ramage will be the Sunday starter for the Razorbacks in their upcoming series this weekend from the new Astros Park there in Houston. And this baseball team, Demetrius, I really feel like this may be the year that this team gets that chip. You know, from top to bottom, 1 through 9, I haven't seen a lineup, a Dave Van Horn lineup with this much offensive firepower. And I made a statement to my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. Don't really think you're going to see a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings when you pitch to these guys. Just too much firepower. I believe they have 3 or 4 switch hitters throughout the lineup. So that's going to bring a lot of versatility. And, I'm just anxious to watch this team continue to get better and better as the season progresses on, dude.
Yeah, Dave Van Horn always does a good job of preparing the guys. And, I was listening to one of the talk shows, and they were talking about this different type of tech mound that could help the pitchers, get better. And I was interested in, getting a better understanding of what that mound necessarily does. So I want to challenge you to go get us an interview with Dave Van Horn or one of the pitchers and figure out a little bit more about that mound.
I guess we're going to get that covered. Well, we had a pitcher that we caught up with today as well, and we always like to bring it to you in the real and most purest form. Patrick Wicklander, Arkansas's Saturday pitcher, he made his way to media availability and spoke with the media today. Here's what Pat had to say, and then we'll be back with much, much more. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479.
I guess you'll be going against Texas, in Houston, probably a pretty charged atmosphere. Just what do you anticipate there?
I anticipate like a big crowd. I mean, earlier we were talking about it's already sold out in the lower tier. I mean, that's a big portion. I mean, that's probably more than Ball Marker had during the Supers last year. But overall, it's going to be a good atmosphere. It's going to be a good battle between 2 really good programs.
You pitched against them last year. How different do you think their lineup is from what you saw a season ago?
I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different. I mean, I know that I had like 1 or 2 freshmen that are starting, but overall, I know they're very experienced, veteran club. They'll be good. I mean, I got a few buddies over there. I've been keeping up with them a little bit. They said it's going to be a good club. Like, not a whole lot's changed in the past year.
Just as a team facing 3 Big 12 teams, your third weekend out, just how the experience you guys are going to gain from that.
It'll be a lot of experience, a lot of good experience, especially going into conference play. I mean, the 3 teams there are all SEC caliber. They could easily come into this league and be right in the mix. So overall, it's going to be a good weekend of competition.
I guess you guys haven't trailed yet so far. How much does that help the pitchers when, obviously you guys are a big part of that because you're not giving up runs, but how good is that for the team to, not ever be behind you?
It's great for the team. If we do trail this weekend, I'm excited to see how we bounce back from it. But overall, it's great knowing that we always have the lead. We just got to keep throwing up zeros as a staff.
How do you feel about the pitching staff after 2 weeks?
We're really good. We go in, throw strikes, throw up zeros. I mean, even when we don't have our best stuff, we're still limiting damage. We're still throwing up zeros, and we're just basically get it to the next guy, close out ball games as soon as possible.
Have you ever gotten to play in a big league park, like in a summer thing or something?
At some point in high school, I played at Oakland Coliseum a little bit, being from the Bay Area. I mean, that was a pretty cool experience. I mean, that stadium's just, I don't know how big that stadium is compared to Minute Maid. I mean, first time in Minute Maid.
And we're back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. That was Patrick Wicklander, sophomore pitcher there for Dave Van Horn and the Arkansas Razorbacks. a stud of a pitcher, I might add. I think Arkansas going forward, that pitching staff, and he talked about it. If they can continue to throw up zeros and work themselves out of, a couple of innings, I think this baseball team with the offense that they're going to have, I mean, this staff working from the mound should be working from the position of having a lot of leads as the season wears on as well. And I look forward to seeing, like I said, their growth with this baseball season of 2020. I feel like there's a lot of special things in store for Coach Van Horn in that program, and I've always felt that way. I felt like they would eventually, either get it this year, or I really feel like they're going to get one here in the next 2 years, if not one, maybe two here in the coming season. So I'm talking about there's a ton of talent down there at Baum Walker Stadium playing baseball for this Razorback team. But a question I want to go to Demetrius as well. And spring ball is roughly, we came out, spring ball will be March 16th when Sam Pittman, under the new regime of Razorback football, will get his program started. And Felipe Lopez is a guy. Felipe Franks is a young man that Demetrius, you and I have had the privilege of, engaging with at SEC Media Day the last 2 years, either at Atlanta or at Hoover. When you look at Felipe in this offensive scheme of Kendall Browse, how big is it that he ends up being the opening day starter here in Razorback Stadium that first weekend or that last weekend in August? How big is that he steps to the forefront?
Truth be told, I don't really think it's big. I think Felipe Franks is one of those people that he's on the team for multiple reasons.
Right.
Because I think his season is determined upon his health. He's coming back from a leg injury. I really think they brought him in from a leadership standpoint in how to conduct yourself as a quarterback within the SEC. Felipe Franks was one of those people you never really heard about him getting in trouble at Florida.
Right.
Had a decent career at Florida. I think he's one of those filler spots, but I think these coaches are really gonna be looking towards the youth. I do think Felipe is gonna play, but I think him trying out there day one isn't really the ultimate goal from a coaching standpoint. I think they really want to find out who's gonna be the captain of the ship going forward, and I think. If it is Felipe Franks, that's great. But I think if not, and it's somebody else's, I don't think it'll have an impact amongst how the team reacts or the morale of the team. Because I think, again, these coaches are going to put whoever's best suit, especially when you got a guy like Kendall Browse. He wants to score. He's known for a high prolific, high scoring, high power octane offense. So, again, I think they're going to pick whoever's best fit to go out there.
We have a question, as they always going to come. Billy Wayne Carter, great question, Billy. How many wins do you think we need to make the NCAA tournament? I think Arkansas is going to have to win at least 3 of their next 4 SEC regular season conference games. I think Arkansas is going to have to at least win at least 2 in the the SEC tournament. There's going to be 7 quad 1 opportunities to pick up wins for Arkansas here in the coming weeks. And when you can get those quad 1s, those go a long way. Now, I think Arkansas is a better team with Isaiah Joe. They're a more balanced team, more offensively capable team. But I think Arkansas is going to have to win at least 5 more. They're sitting at 17-10. I think it's going to take 22 victories for this team to get in the NCAA tournament, in my humble opinion.
You said 5, but I think I'm gonna go 6 because I think it's they have to make it to the semifinals. They have to, and that's where I think you have to win at least 3 games in the SEC, depending on where you're seated at. And I think where Arkansas is seated at, they'll have to play 3 games to get to that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So I think they need 6 games because I expect these guys to at least.
Because they're sitting at 11 right now, 11th place in the conference.
Right. So I figured they were going to be in that bottom tier. It's only 14 SEC schools.
Stephen Rogers has a great comment. Stephen says, Adrio for post defense, and that don't have much of which to make it happen and make it important. And Desi making the 3-pointer when Isaiah and Mason aren't hitting those shots. Thanks for the comment. Great comment, by the way, and I agree with him 100%. I think, Adrio, for his defensive prowess, the way he's been able to defend at such a high level in conference this year, and for pretty much the entire season. I think he's one of the elite defense players in the NCAA. Excuse me, but and then also too, I agree with you, Steve. That was a great point with Desi. Desi, over the course of his career, shoots the three at a very, very successful clip. I believe he was, in that 40 percentile range. Shot the ball, I thought, really, really well on this past Saturday. Prior to a week ago, when they had that very, very disappointing loss versus Mississippi State, I thought he shot the ball really well. So, and we talked about him. I think he's better off the bench as a sixth man. I like the chip on the shoulder that he plays with and a point to prove when he comes in the game. I've seen that every time he's come off the bench in his very early, short career here at Arkansas. But, that's a really good question. Also, too, Stephen came with another. Turnovers and pace. Hogs need to get up and run early. Don't need a bunch of – okay. I agree. You can't let the size of Tennessee tonight start to settle and get – roots in that paint and really attack the glass. I think that's where Arkansas really had trouble with this basketball team up in Knoxville. And when you talk about the point guard, I think Bolden is going to be the key to tonight's game. How well do you contain him or control him? He's going to score points. He's too good of a player not to, but how well do you contain what he does, his distribution, either with assists? I mean, how active you're going to let him be will determine, I feel, how Arkansas's fate will be in tonight's ball game. Stephen Wilson, Tennessee bigger and stronger. We'll have to go 5-guard lineup. Get Harris to make better decisions. Absolutely correct, Stephen. Thanks for the question and comment, Stephen Wilson. Demetrius, our guys are really, really, our viewers, hey, they be on it.
I think that that last comment was right on, because when you asked me what was the key to the Razorbacks winning, is shot selection. They can't come out just chunking up threes and everybody being selfish and just shooting up. I don't mind Drill Bailey taking threes again, but be cautious with doing this because again we know this team can really put their foot on the gas and get away from us. So I think it's really critical that we make smart decisions in shot selection.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our show today. As Demetrius and I will be back tomorrow with post-game interviews from the players, Coach Musselman and players. Tennessee, we'll have all the interviews that we need from that side of the court. But once again, I want everybody to know tonight, tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. from Bud Walton Arena on Nolan Richardson Court. The coverage will be the SEC Network. You can catch it there. Also, too, want to give a big-time shout-out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also, too, in Rogers. That being Locomotion. It's located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. You can find them at 989 South Razorback Road. Get down there, see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love. Like to say, it's not your mama's. The best chicken and waffles in the South. From my producer, Demetrius, and myself to you all. We'll catch you tomorrow. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and you know what I say. Let's get it.